So I'm going to talk from my experience with Etsy and why exactly I was never really surprised, to be blunt. AI sort of stuff came on it and other things with regard to it, because I can remember quite early on when I used it about 5 years ago. I can remember it was a common thing people would tell me, people I knew selling it, or just people tell me in general when I was about to buy products. They say, "You look, this is handmade. This is not, imitation stuff from China." Etsy as a whole done nothing at all to ever protect the homemade market. As such, the homemade market on the site became smaller and smaller until it's almost micro compared to what exactly the point of the site was. The point of the site was it was supposed to be a handmade thing. So, for example, handmade jumper, handmade socks, handmade wooden thing, or something handmade. That was the whole point of the site. That was why people were using Etsy. They were expecting things which should be made by someone, say, for argument's sake, someone in Texas. So for argument's sake, I pay $100 for a guy in Texas to make me a jumper. That was kind of what was supposed to be for. But I noticed very early on that the majority of the stuff on the site was just basically resold AliExpress, Alibaba stuff for the majority of stuff. I also noticed quite early on with regard to using it was if someone from, say, for argument's sake, America had a popular service. I noticed within a very short period of time, someone generally from China would basically upload other stuff from it, a copied version or an AliExpress version of it. They'd undercut the price, then the American or someone else would end up losing all their money because they couldn't compete because they are going to be selling it much cheaper, and a lot of people don't pay enough attention between homemade products versus manufactured products. So in a lot of cases, they'd basically be selling it at a loss or not able to sell things. And Ecstasy as a whole never done anything to protect people. I did ask people who have done it for a few years. They've all told me they've done nothing. Support is completely and utterly useless, which doesn't really surprise me. So with regard to artificial intelligence, that's where problems only gotten faster because people can now just upload images. If someone's made, say, for argument's sake, a teddy, if someone's made a teddy, say, for argument's sake, an orange covered teddy, someone can quite easily use artificial intelligence to make a similar image, pay someone in China to make it for you, then undercut prices. Then when the person gets the teddy, it's generally not as good or it looks completely different. And for how exactly they could target or stop that, I don't really care. That's why, to me, in the future, I can't actually see Etsy going under because they're basically doing nothing to protect the market. They've completely and utterly destroyed what's used to make Etsy unique, homemade products, things made by independent people, independent businesses, or simply small scale operations. That was what made Etsy cool and fun. Another thing which doesn't help with regard to one of their competitors is, I've heard this as well a few times, is when they copy the ideas from someone from, say, Etsy, they might just start selling on eBay. So they'll undercut a person on eBay or in other platforms as well. But because no one is doing anything to protect people who are, trying to make high quality things, whether it's, say, things made from wood, cloth, or anything else, they're doing nothing to protect people. That's why, in general, for me, I wasn't really surprised that Ecstasy would get destroyed by artificial intelligence because, as general, they don't care about users, don't care about people basically making the products or selling the products. It's all about trying to make money, which can work well, but it often screws over people. And people are like, screw you, I won't use it. I mean, I personally, if I'm getting honest with you, I very much love buying homemade stuff. I think it's fantastic. I think it's really cool. I do appreciate buying something homemade, whether it's a homemade hat or something else. I mean, for argument's sake, I was gonna basically buy probably between now and next month, depending on, of course, when I get it. I was gonna try and basically buy a fancy hat made from a really fancy New Zealand style wool. I was gonna buy that and then give it to my ferret to sleep in. But again, I'm buying it because I know it's a high quality. I know it's made from real material. I know it's not, crap or anything like that. So I'm not really bothered, paying more money than, getting a cheap imitation or a fake version of it because that would, I know, it's obviously defeat the purpose of basically buying high quality stuff. But that's my thoughts with regarding that. Now, if you're selling it and you're doing well, then cool, great, fantastic. That's great. All the best to you. But if you're finding that you can't sell as well, I would kind of say you might want to try consider either starting your own website or other platforms which maybe are thankfully protecting the user, which unfortunately most of them don't, because eBay itself has gone to unfortunately to shit under the current dumb management, and XC seems to have gone that sort of style as well. Hope you have a good day, good week, and consider dropping 2 ferrets. Thank you. Bye.